Today I'm going to teach you step by step how to make this trending summer wreath. Don't worry, if you're new to wreath making, this is a great beginner-friendly tutorial. You'll find the full materials list for you below in the description of this video. If you'd rather just purchase today's creation, you'll find a link for my Etsy shop below as well. Welcome to Stillwater's Wreath Designs. Come on in. Let me just take a quick moment to welcome anyone new here to the channel. Stillwater's Wreath Designs is all about step-by-step front door wreath and door swag tutorials. We've got new tutorials uploading every single week, so if you like that sort of thing, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notification to join us. And for those of you that have been here on the channel with me for a while, thank you so much for coming back. I so appreciate you. You guys, I am so excited to be making today's wreath. So let me just tell you real quickly that all the items that we're using today in the wreath came to me from TMI Gifts. And I've not even opened this box yet. So we're going to check out all these goodies together. I'll make sure I put their website for you below in the description of this video so that you can check out all these goodies if you'd like to do so. And here is the best part, guys. TMI Gifts is being very generous and giving everyone a 20% off total cart spend if you enter the code Nikki20 at the end of your checkout. That's NIKI20. Thank you, TMI Gifts, for the goodies that we're about to unveil. I haven't even cut the tape yet, guys. I wanted to open this with you together. So exciting. You guys, this is so much fun. Let's see what we will be designing with today. We've got some super cute lemon branches. Looks like there are 2 of those. We've got some ribbon. Both of these are 2.5 inches wide. Adorable. We've got a 24-inch pine wreath base that's dual layered. We've got this adorable 1.5-inch wide ribbon with a black background full of lemons. Oh my gosh, you guys. How stinking cute is this foam glitter lemon? I don't know if you've been checking out all the wreath making supply websites, but these extra large foam wreath attachments are definitely the trend this summer. That is too stinking adorable. This guy is 21 inches long and probably about 15 inches or so wide and covered in glitter. We've got a couple more rolls of ribbon that's really pretty, like an olive green 1.5 inch and a Swiss black and white polka dot, also 1.5 inch. And we've got this super cute gift package from TMI Gifts. How adorable is that? Let's see what's in there. Just a really lovely thank you card for partnering with them. And just a photo of the TMI family. Thank you so much. We've also got a black and white polka dot 10-inch roll of deco mesh. Okay, let's dive into our design. The first thing we need to do is fluff out our pine wreath base. We're just going to stand all of these pine ties to attention and spread them out from side to side and towards the top so that we can begin to add our deco mesh in. This is a 24-inch pine base. Okay, the next step in the process is to prepare our deco mesh. This is a 10-inch wide roll, and what we're going to do here is cut the entire roll in pieces that are approximately 20 to 24 inches in length. And you guys, I really don't measure it. I literally put my roll in front of me, unroll it so that my arm is at a 90-degree angle, and I cut. So I'm going to follow this process until I've cut my entire roll of deco mesh, and then I'll meet you back here. Now that our mesh is cut, go ahead and grab your pine base. So to make a cruffle, you're going to take your piece of deco mesh, and if you're new to working with deco mesh, guys, deco mesh loves to fray. So anything that we can do as creators to help reduce that fray is always ideal. And so I take a single piece of mesh, I lay it right on top of my wreath or in my work area, curl side up. I'm going to roll those ends in 2 or 3 times, just to tuck away those raw edges to reduce that fray, and then scrunch and gather in the middle to create this cruffle. And what a cruffle really is 2 curls, one on each end, and then a ruffle in the middle. And we're going to add cruffles all the way around our wreath base. And so I like to start in the middle, in the center of the wreath, and I'm going to find 2 neighboring pine ties. We'll open them into a V, place that cruffle all the way down to the base, and then give those pine ties a couple of tight twists. And that's going to anchor your cruffle in. Let's do one more together. We're going to roll those ends in a couple of times to tuck away that raw edge, and then just scrunch and gather in the middle to create our cruffle. So we've started in the center, and what I like to do to keep it nice and full is add a cruffle in the center, on the outside, and then the inside. Center, outside, and inside, all the way around the wreath base. So you'll find 2 neighboring pine ties, open them into a wide V, place your cruffle all the way down to the base, and give those ties a couple of tight twists. So go ahead and add cruffles throughout your entire wreath base, making sure you cover the center, the outside, and the inside. You could add as many or as few as you wish, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, we've got our wreath base fully loaded with our cruffles. I ended up using 17 pieces, which turned out to be the entire single roll of 10-inch deco mesh, and just look how full this beauty is coming along. So at this point, this wreath is about 26 inches in diameter and probably 8 or so inches in depth. Let's set our wreath base off to the side and cut some ribbon tails. We're going to add in 2 sets of ribbon tails for each bundle, and I'd like to start out with 14 ribbon tail bundles in total. So since we've got 2 groupings here, we're going to need 7 cuts of each of the ribbon types. And we're going to cut the 2.5 inch wide ribbon at 12 inches in length. So let me show you an easy way to cut your ribbon tails, guys. Just identify your 12-inch mark. Mark that with your finger, and then fold that ribbon accordion style, the total number of times for the pieces that you need. So in this case, we're going to need 7 of each. Once you've got that folded, the total number of times that you need, cut off that excess ribbon. And then you can either dovetail your ends or angle cut. I'm going to angle cut today. And I'm going to cut the whole stack at once, which means that my angles will vary amongst the strips here. So if you want them to go in the same direction, cut them apart individually. So what we've done here, guys, let me show you the beauty of this trick, is we've just measured all of our ribbon pieces at once, trim those ends at once, and this batch of ribbon tails is good to go. So we're going to cut 7 pieces of all the ribbon types. Your 2.5 inch ribbon will be cutting at 12 inches in length, and your 1.5 inch ribbon you'll be cutting at 10 inches in length, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I've got all of our ribbon tail strips cut, the ends are trimmed, and it's time to start loading our ribbon tail bunches into our wreath. So we'll set these guys off to the side and grab that wreath base. So remember, we're going to add 2 tails per each grouping, 1 2.5 inch piece and 1 1.5 inch piece. You're just going to lay that 1.5 inch strip right on top of that 2.5 inch strip. You can fold it in half to identify that center point. Open it back up, pinch and pleat in the middle. And then I just fold it into a loose V over my thumb, like so. And we're going to come into our wreath and add this bundle in. So again, find any pair of neighboring pine ties, grab that ribbon tail bundle, and place it right down to the base of those 2 pine ties and give them a couple of tight twists. And you've just added your first set of ribbon tails. So I kind of fluff them out as I go, and by fluff, guys, all I'm really doing is maintaining that V shape and pulling them away from the center of the wreath. And I'm going to go back and forth between the 2 ribbon combinations and stagger them at various depths. So we'll move on to our second combination and do one more set together, and then we'll speed ahead. So I've grabbed a 2.5 inch ribbon tail strip and a 1.5 inch ribbon tail strip. I'm going to lay that 1.5 inch strip right on top of the 2.5 inch piece and center it. We'll fold that in half to find the center of our ribbon stack. Open it back up, and then that line is your center point. And guys, nobody's going to be measuring your ribbon tails, so they certainly, don't need to be perfect. I've pinched and pleated in the middle, and I'm folding them into a loose V over my thumb. And we're going to come about 4 inches away from where we just added it, and I'm going to come closer towards the outside. I'll find 2 neighboring pine ties, place that ribbon tail bundle all the way down to the base, and give it a couple of tight twists, and fluff out my tails. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around our wreath base. You can add as many or as few ribbon tail bundles as you wish, and then I'll meet you back here. Let me just also mention real quickly that I'd like for you to leave a blank space about the size of your hand on the upper level of your wreath base. We'll be skipping that part for the ribbon tails because we'll be adding a bougie bow. You guys, oh my goodness, look how stinking cute this is coming together. So if you can see, I've actually left the blank space about a hand's width on the upper level, and that's where we're going to add a bougie bow. Okay guys, so I want to add my bow here, which is approximately 10 o'clock if you were looking at this as if it were a clock. But first, we're going to add our giant foam lemon. Let me just cut our tag off here. I flipped over our foam lemon slice, and as you can see, it's got this really handy metal hanger, and I've grabbed a 20 gauge floral wire stem. I'm going to run that floral wire stem through that metal anchor so that we can anchor our lemon slice into the wreath. Now we'll center the lemon slice where we'd like it on our wreath, poke those floral wire stems right through the wreath base, and then tie them securely on the back. Once we've got those anchored down, I'm trimming off the excess bits of floral wire stem with my small snips, and I'm grabbing my needle nose pliers to curl those poking ends under. Now I'm just going to add a pea-sized amount of hot glue right on top of those wire stems so that they don't poke anyone or our customer's door, and we'll be good to go. Now that the glue is dried, we're going to flip our wreath over. Now this part seems a little crazy. Trust the process here, friends. We're going to lift up that foam lemon slice, grab our hot glue gun, and add several full squirts of hot glue to the back side of our foam lemon slice, and then press that slice down onto the wreath so it can really anchor down. I'm going to add something heavy on top of the lemon slice to really give it some weight to help it anchor down. Okay, let's set our wreath off to the side and make our bow. We'll be using the same ribbon that we used for our ribbon tails to make our hand bow. And you guys, hand bows was one of the trickiest things for me to learn when I first started making wreaths. So I'll leave a couple of step-by-step, slow motion bow making tutorials for you below in the description of this video in case you need some extra support while you're making your bow. So you're just going to need your choice of ribbon. You can use as many or as few as you like. I just recommend that you use varying widths. It doesn't matter how many you choose, just make sure that all of your ribbon are wired. You're also going to need a good pair of scissors and a standard pipe cleaner. I like to fold my pipe cleaner into a loose V and set it off to the side so that it's ready when it's time to anchor down our bow. You guys, there is a million different ways to make bows. Everybody's got their own style and method. I hope that you find this tutorial helpful. So when I'm making hand bows, I always make my tails a little bit longer than what I anticipate I'll need, because you can always trim your ribbon down, but you can't add more ribbon in. So I've got a 12-inch tail. I'm going to pinch and gather to make a little pleat. My left hand will be my holding hand and my right hand my working hand. I'm then going to measure out another 10-inch piece and pinch and pleat, because that will give us a 5-inch bow. So I've measured 10 inches. I'm folding it in half underneath my fingers. And so now I've got this 5-inch loop. I'm going to twist that because we always want that to be pretty side out. I'm going to measure 10 inches again. We're going to pinch and pleat at that 10-inch mark. Fold that over. Give it a hard twist so it's pretty side out. And measure our 12-inch tail and cut that ribbon loose. So we've got 2 tails at 12 inches in length and 2 loops that are 5-inch loops. I'm going to do the same thing with a 1.5-inch black and white polka dot. So I've got a 12-inch tail. I'm pinching, laying that underneath my thumb. I'm going to give that a hard twist. We're going to measure out 10 inches. Give that a pinch. Fold that in to give us that 5-inch loop. Give it a hard twist. Measure out 10 inches again to give us that 5-inch loop. And guys, nobody's going to be measuring your loops and tails, I promise. So if it's not perfect, it's okay. And another 12-inch tail. And we'll cut that ribbon off. We're going to move on to the 2.5-inch lemon. And you guessed it, another 12-inch tail. So I'm giving that a pinch. Laying that right on top of that black and white polka dot, giving it a hard twist under my thumb. I'm going to measure out to the 10-inch mark, which will give us our 5-inch loop. And it's pinched and pleated and folded over. We're going to give that a hard twist again. We'll measure out to 10 inches, pinch and pleat, fold that guy over. So we've just made another 5-inch loop. And we'll measure out a 12-inch tail, cut a ribbon off. Now we're going to use our 1.5-inch olive green. And we're going to make a 12-inch tail again. Give that a pinch, lay that underneath our thumb. Give it a hard twist. And at this point, guys, I'm just going to use my previous loops to measure, and I'm going to make them about a 1/2 inch shorter than the first 3 ribbon loops that we've made. You can marry them together to make sure that they meet at the same spot, which tells you that your loops are the same length. And we'll cut off our 12-inch tail. Onto our 1.5-inch lemon. We'll find our 12-inch spot for that tail, give it a pinch. We'll lay that on top of our bow stack, give it a hard twist so that pretty side's always out. We'll fold that over. We want that loop to be basically the same length or a tad shorter than the green. Give it a hard twist. Make that loop. Gather it in your hand, measure out a 12-inch tail, and cut the ribbon off. And we're going to do one more of the black and white polka dot. This time I'm going to do a 10-inch tail, give it a pinch. We're going to make those loops about 3 inches in length. And I'm just going to marry them up to make sure they're the same length, and they are. Another 10-inch tail. So now we've got a ribbon stack for our bow. It's not pretty yet. We're going to take that pipe cleaner and wrap that right around this bow stack. Bring it around to the back side. And we are going to tie this as tight as we can. Tight, tight, tight. And give it 2 or 3 tight spins or twists. Once you've done that, you can trim off the excess bit of your pipe cleaner tails. And then just lay that little tail down flat. And I don't like to fluff out my bows until they're in my wreath. So let's go ahead and grab our wreath. That glue on our lemon slice should be secure. We can remove our weight. And we're going to add our bow at that 10 o'clock spot right here. So what I want you to do is find 2 neighboring pine ties. And then we're going to lay this ribbon stack right down in the center of our ties and twist those guys together. So now we've got a not so cute bow stack on our wreath. This is going to look upside down while I fluff for a few minutes here, guys. And I like to start from the bottom. So when it comes to fluffing your bows, it's not the fun thing to do, at least not for most people. And it takes a little while, so give yourself some grace. We're not going to trim our tails or do anything with those yet. We want to see where they're going to lay. We're just going to take some time to fluff. I always form my bottom loops into an X pattern and work my way towards the top, fluffing as I go. There's no right or wrong way to fluff. Once you've got those loops in the general direction of where you'd like to see them, go ahead and angle trim or dovetail all of your ribbon tail ends. I like to do so at varying lengths. All right, let's spin this around and see how this is looking at our rough fluff. Super cute. So I'm going to run my fingers over these tails and make sure that they're going in the direction that I want them to go. I can already see that we're going to need to do a little bit of a trim. That's okay. So stinking cute, you guys. Oh my goodness. What a fun summer wreath. I'm going to try to angle trim some of these longer ones here. A little bit more of a haircut. All right, once you've got those tails trimmed, I'm just going to curl them a little bit, give them a bump by running them through my fingers and pulling them towards the ceiling, which gives them this cute little curve. That bow looks fabulous, and so we're on to our very last step. Okay, so the last step is to add in some lemon floral picks. Each one of these bushes has 4 stems, so I'm going to use my heavy-duty cutters and trim each one off of the bush so that we can sprinkle them throughout our wreath. So remember, this is on a wire spine, so you can bend it and shape it as you wish. I like to dry place my florals first, so I'm just going to go around the perimeter of my wreath and scatter in each stem, and then I'm going to come back through and hot glue them in. All right, I've just trimmed down one of the 2 stems. I feel like we're just going to frame our bow area here because of the size of our foam lemon slice. So I've got my pieces sprinkled, and we're just going to anchor them down with some hot glue. So we're going to run a bead of hot glue right along the stem, about 1.5 inches or so, and then nestle that guy down in, just like so. And this beauty is finished. I sure hope you enjoyed creating with me today. Don't forget that all the materials that you need to recreate this beauty are listed for you below in the description of this video. Be sure to go to tmigifts.com and enter the code Nikki20 to get 20% off your supplies order. Thanks for spending time with me today, friends. Happy crafting.